Hey guys, I am going to be reviewing the Garmin Fenix 5X smartwatch. This is right there, a big beefy sucker. I've been using it for about 6 months now, and I want to walk you through kind of what it's like to own it and use it. It's a very powerful tool. It's also very expensive, so it might not be for everyone. I'll show you, the ins and outs of it, and you can decide for yourself. Just a note, I am not paid by Garmin, and I did not get this for free. I paid for this myself, so all of the opinions are unbiased, down to earth, but I do love this watch. It offers a ton of features. It's basically any and every map you could ever want on your wrist. Having said that, it's pretty small, so you're not going to be doing planning with this. You're not going to just show up at a trailhead and say, hey, route me on a great hike. But you can plan a hike, or you can just walk and see trails on here and kind of know where you are, which is powerful. Now, if you're a runner or a biker or do any other kind of sports, this is also super, super powerful. It has all kinds of training features in there. It's a sleep tracker, a step tracker, sport GPS. And when you start to use those features, it makes more sense financially. If you just need a map, a GPS unit, this is probably way, way overpriced for you. But anyway, let me walk you through some of the features and show you how to use it, the ins and outs, my opinions on it, and you can decide for yourself whether you want it or not. Also, if you go to HikingGuy.com, I have a in-depth review as an article format, not just video, and that will give you more information on the watch, so make sure you check that out as well. So let's get into it. All right, so let me walk you sort of through the features of the watch to start. Now, it's a pretty beefy watch. It's rugged, it's built for the outdoors. It's a little bit bigger than the Fenix 3, if you're familiar with that. There's a couple band options. One is metal, that has metal links that you have to pop the links out of and customize the length, or you can just get this plastic one. I had the metal links on my Fenix 3 and I changed it because it was not worth it. This also has a quick release band, or quick band, where you can pop in different color bands that Garmin sells. The casing is stainless steel, it's durable, and the Fenix 5X is sapphire glass, which means you can't scratch the glass. This is about seven months to wear. You can see it's pretty good. The heart rate monitor is on the back. It's right there, making those flashing lights. Unlike the Fenix 3R, it's flush, so it's pretty comfortable. It's not really protruding from there. And then this right there is the power cable cord, where you plug it in to sync or to charge. Now the screen is 1.2 inches big. It's got 64 colors and a resolution that's less than an Apple Watch. You can see here it looks okay. It's not going to be an Apple Watch. Apple Watches look beautiful, but they're also not outdoors instruments, so you got to pick and choose what's important to you. But it works well in the sun. Here you can see I'm outside during the day and it's pretty easy to see. There's also a backlight. I can hit this, which you can't tell her now, but there's a backlight. Button wise, this is sort of your power back button. You have up down buttons here. And then on this side, you have this button which sort of selects, and then this button which backs you out. And this is normal day-to-day use. Got my tongue tied there. And this is just a watch face. Now you can change this watch face and you can customize it. If I hold this middle button down, I'll go into settings, and there's my settings. There's the watch face. I can get watch face, and I can actually go through and choose different ones. Now you can go to the Garmin store, where you can download a bunch of free watch faces, and you can also customize aspects of this. You can see I have the sunset and battery percentage and date on there. You can change what those are as well. Let me back out of this. Now on day-to-day use, the other thing you're going to do is you're going to go through these things called widgets. And if you hit these up and down buttons, you can see I go through widgets. And that's my heart rate. I don't have my heart rate on right now because the watch is not on. It needs to be on my wrist, which is right there, to work. But I can go through and see my heart rate for the day. Now on these as well, I can click in and get more information. Here's my resting heart rate for the last few days. And so I'm going to let you cycle through different screens there. You can totally customize which widgets you see. I have training stress score, which I'll show you a little bit later. Steps. So this is a step counter, floor counter, all that fun stuff. Here's a compass and an altimeter. And those are widgets. Now, if you want to start an activity like a hike or a run, you can just hit this button up here. You can put your favorites in. Up there, you can add another one if you want. All these different sports, and there are a ton of sports. There's everything from like stand-up paddleboarding, trail running, indoor sports, cardio, weightlifting, all kinds of things that you can track. These are my favorites. And then when you click on this with the actual activity, it brings you into the activity. I'll show you that a little bit later. You can see that green means I've locked on to a GPS signal, and those other little icons are just telling me whether I'm connected to heart rate, telephone, that flashing one's a camera, which is annoying. You can also control the camera on here. Now, one thing to note about the widgets, which the camera just reminded me of, is that some of the widgets work with your smartphone. So when you first get this, the first thing you're going to want to do is pair it with your smartphone and update the firmware to make sure you're working with the latest software, all that fun stuff. But some of the widgets are, let me go back out. Some of the widgets are connected to the phone, so you can get, say, for instance, weather on here. The way that weather will work is it will connect to your smartphone and get the latest weather. If I go to settings, apps, there's widgets, and you can see there's all these different ones I can put on there. Add widgets are those ones I have. Last sport, last run. These are all the different things I can put in there. My day. This also syncs with Strava, MyFitnessPal, all these other different fitness services, calendar. While I'm in here, I can show you. I can also add different apps. So here's a sampling of the apps. Let me show, these are the ones I have. Add apps. Here's a bunch of different ones that I don't have in there. And you can take them out. I don't use these a lot or never, so I just took them out. But if you use them, you can put them in there so they're easy to access. That's the watch itself. Now, like I said, it is heavy. It is waterproof and shockproof, so I can just drop this bad boy and it's fine. That wasn't too beefy of a drop. It's waterproof up to 100 meters, so you can do everything with it aside from scuba dive pretty much. So that's how the watch works. Let me show you some of the other features. Let's talk about mapping. Okay, so I am on the Garmin Connect website, and one of the options over here on the side is to do a course. And if I click course there, I can search. I can see other courses that people have done, so I can click on this. You can see it shows me a course that somebody else did, which was a long run, and I could save this or send it to my device, but I am not going to do that. I'm going to click out of this. I'm going to create my own course, and I'm going to do it here at this Audubon Park, and it's pretty simple. I just do create a course. Now it's going to ask me what type, and you can see there's a few different options here. We're going to do hiking, and I just click where I want my start point. Let's go here. Let's go there, 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 and whatever, back here. A lot of twists and turns. So there it is. I have different options here. I can name it. So we'll call this the Fenix 5X test. And I can also see my elevation, which is flat because this is just a very short walk around. And I'm going to save it. And you can also do these things: add course point, reverse direction, undo, loop to start. So if you're doing something very detailed, you can change it. You can also make this a satellite view. We can go back to terrain. We can go to map. There's other ways to do this. This is just an easy way to do it within the Garmin ecosystem. And I have a whole article on my website about creating tracks for your Garmin GPS. So if you go there, you'll be able to get a detailed account of how to do this. Anyway, let's do save course. And then let's send this to my device. And now it's asking me if I want to do Garmin Express. I'm going to do this on my phone, actually. So there's a couple ways you can sync. You can sync this with a plugged in method, which is Garmin Express. So you could hear it's not connected. And you can see here are some updates to the maps, but I'm going to cancel that and get out of this, and we'll do it on the app instead. So I've saved it, and let me show you how to get it from the app onto the phone. Okay, so I am here and I just saved it, and you can see it's synced to my phone here. I'm going to go to courses, loading courses. Whoop, there we go. There it is, Fenix 5 test up top. I hear this, so there we go. Everything's reversed this way. Anyway, you can see the course that I just did, and there's that little icon up top here to send it to my device. And there it's asking me which one I want to send it to. I'm going to do the Fenix 5X. And now it should be on my watch. Okay, so let's see it on this thing. So let's go down to navigate, because it'll be the easiest one. And I'll go to courses, Fenix 5 test, do course, and there it is. It is on the watch. Okay, so let's start a hike, and we'll use that course that I just set. So if I click on this button over here, this will give me my activities, and you can see there I have hike already brought up, but I could have done this as a bike or hike, whatever, pool, swim, whatever I want to do. Anyway, let's go hike. And now it's locking on to the GPS. There's orange, which is good, or yellow. It's also telling me that I'm not synced to a camera or an external heart rate monitor. I have a phone sync. Boom, and there's my GPS signal. And here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to hold down this button on the side. And within the hike, I can change the settings, but I'm going to navigation. And it allows me to go to a point of interest, so I can go to a McDonald's or something interesting like that. Around me, a few different options. If you go to HikingGuy.com, I kind of list out what all these are. But courses, we have course. There's not the one we want. There it is, Fenix 5X test. Do course, and it's loading. Course started, and I'm just going to start the hike, and there we go. And you can see there we go. You can see that it shows me how far I need to go to the next point. Now we can also zoom in on the map if I really want to see where I am. All right, let's zoom. And there you can see the trails. You can see my position, and you can see me going up the trail here. Let's back out of this. And there it's telling me the distance to my next point, which is up here. Now we can also go through all of the standard hiking fields. There it's telling me whether I'm on course or off course. And the way this works is that if I go off of the trail or the course that I've plotted in here, it will give me an alert. It will say off course. So you don't necessarily have to be monitoring the watch all the time. It'll beep or buzz or whatever you set it to do to alert you if you're not in the right place. Now I can always go through and see all my other things as well. Here I've set up this thing to tell me my timer, my distance, and you can see there's a little dot up top. That's telling me which way to go to stay on course. So imagine if this was sort of a cross-country off-trail thing, that would be very helpful. It doesn't have my heart rate zone because I've taken it off so I could show you in this video because I'm holding the camera with my other hand. I'm not clever enough to figure out how to not do that. And I have another data field, and you can totally customize all of these as well. So here we go. And I just got an alert. And if you can see here, I'm at an intersection. four-way intersection. I got an alert. So let's see what happens here. I'm going to go straight. If I go down to this next one, it's telling me, see the arrow, it's telling me I should have turned left there. So I'm going the wrong way. And if I go a little bit farther, it's going to give me an off-course alert. So let's go here. I'll show you what that looks like. You have to go a little bit far. It's not super precise. There it is, off course. So let's go back. You can see I needed to make that turn there. Let's go back. And there you can see, it says I'm in the right place. And there's my map. And that's navigation. Now if I wanted to, let's say, stop this but continue the hike, it's pretty easy. I just hold down this button and then just do stop course. And then I don't have to follow that, but I still have the map here, and I still have my data fields. So that's the mapping and course functionality. You can see it's not like driving a car and having GPS where it says get off on exit 57, but it is handy. You can see whether you're on the trail or not, and you can get alerts as to whether you're off the trail. The other things with the map is, it's not always at the right pan or zoom level that you want it to be, and dealing with that is actually pretty easy. You just hold down this key right here. So you go to your settings and there's pan and zoom. Then I hit this guy to select it. And you'll see I have little plus or minuses on the side, and I can zoom in and zoom out. There's zoom out, zoom in. You can see the redraws are okay in terms of how quickly it redraws the map. If I do it quickly, that's pretty good. It just depends. There I go. Now if I want to pan around, there's a little trick. You just hit this once. If I hit that once, you'll see that I now have, instead of zoom tools on the side, I have an up and down. So I can go up and down. And if I hit it again, I'll get left and right. So there's my left and right. So let's go over here. And I'm going to click there. I'm going to hold this down for a long period here. So let's hold down long. And it says trail. Yeah, that's cool. And it tells me basically what it is, the different aspects of that map. And I'm just going to say go, and that should route me there. And you can see the little arrow is telling me to go this way. And that's where the point was. You can see I panned over there. And it's giving me the route. You can see I'm on it. Now if I want to zoom in so I can see where I am a little bit better, same thing, pan zoom, and I'm just going to go in. There you can see the trail detail. It's pretty good. And these are trails, these are OpenStreetMap trails that I've loaded onto the map. These aren't the default Garmin maps. So let me get out of this. And then we're back, and now I can see my nice purple line that tells me that's where I should be going. So, pretty cool. One of the other handy features is that you can drop waypoints, and there's sort of a shortcut for that. If I hold this down, I can say save location. You can see it's already brought up for me there. And I want to do this. Set yes, saved, and I'm done. So just a simple way to save waypoints. I do that a lot when I am hiking and I see something like maybe a place where I want to get water or a trail junction that I need to note for the way back or anything remotely handy. I'll just drop a waypoint. It doesn't really take up a lot of space, if any, and you know, you have that location snapped in there then. So very, very handy. All right, so when you're done your hike, it's pretty simple. You just hit stop, you wait a second, and then it'll ask you what you'd like to do. Resume it, save. You can also resume it later, which will shut the GPS off and give you some extra battery. Do a lap, you go back to start, or you can discard it. We're going to save it. And it's saying it's going to take me 0 hours to recover from this, which is a cool little feature. So if this was a hard workout, it would tell me obviously a little bit more. That gives me a little wrap up, and then I'm going to hit done. Now it's updating, and it's also uploading it to my phone, and it is done. Now we can go to the app, or we can go to Garmin Connect and take. Here I am on Garmin Connect. I've gone into activities, and here's my hike. You can see I was kind of farting around because I was shooting some video, but I can zoom in. I can see all the places I went. There was the turn that I made incorrectly and corrected. And I can scroll, well, I can change the layers here, so I can look at Bing, I can look at straight map, we can do OpenStreetMap, and zoom in, which gives us some better trails. And then down here, I can see my elevation, I can see my pace. Those are the heart rate dropouts where I didn't have the watch on, so it's not an error. That was when I was holding it. And you can see all these different metrics from the hike. So this one's probably not a good example. I just wanted to show you because I was showing it in the other example, but let me show you what a real hike looks like. So here's a hike on the bridge to nowhere, and you can see I have elevation, and if I do this scroll, it'll follow the little dot on the map. And yeah, you get a lot more information here than you normally would. So this is a pretty cool way to recap your hike. Then you can also share it, so I can export it to Google Earth, to whatever I need to do in order to share it or you know, do anything else. I can also share this with the public, so I can share it with people I know in Garmin Connect, or everyone, so you could put this on a website or whatever you might need to do. So the Fenix 5X comes bundled with topo maps for the United States, and if you buy it in another region, it'll come bundled with those maps for another region. You can actually load other bundles of maps on there for free from Garmin. So if I bought the North American version and I'm going to Europe, I can download the European maps on there. That's not a problem. It's got 12 gigabytes of memory on the watch. So there's plenty of room for tons of maps. Now, here's one thing you don't have to do, and I see people doing it. I see 1-star reviews because people have bought maps for $100 and tried to install them on the watch. You don't have to pay for any maps with this device. Do not pay for any maps, especially not Garmin maps. You can download all of these different maps directly to the watch, and it already has USA on it if you've bought it in the USA or North America. Now, the Garmin maps are okay. They're not great. They're 100K topo maps. They don't have a lot of contours. They do have points of interest, so they have like McDonald's and things like that on there. There's golf information, things that aren't so hiking relevant. But what you can do is you can download free OpenStreetMaps, which are 24K and have tons of hiking trails on them. So the routing on this and the navigation is going to only be as good as the maps that you have on it. So I highly, highly recommend downloading different maps onto these devices. If you go to HikingGuy.com, I have a whole article on how to get these free maps and download them to the Garmin. But get the 24K maps, the OpenStreetMaps. Those OpenStreetMaps have much better trails on them, and they're also routable, so the device will be able to route you on those trails, which is important. Like I said, it's 12 gigs of memory, so there's plenty of room for maps. And the other cool thing is you can go on there and you can turn certain maps off. So let's say you're a cyclist and a hiker, and you only want to see hiking trails when you hike and only want to see cycling maps when you cycle, you can go in there and individually turn maps on or off. So I could have all of USA for cycling, I could have all of USA for trails, I could have, you know, a specific region. Whatever it is that you download is what's on the watch. So that's maps. I highly recommend getting some OSM, OpenStreetMap, free maps and putting them on there before you go out on the trails. It'll make your life easier and it'll make it more of a valuable resource for you. So battery life on the Fenix 5X is pretty good. It lasts 12 hours roughly in GPS mode, so when you're using it to track a hike. And if you just have it on without the GPS, it is about 12 days. So for me, I typically work out maybe 30 to 60 minutes a day. I'll go for 2 long hikes on the weekends. I usually have to charge it once or twice a week. And it's not too bad. It charges in an hour or so. And it's a little USB cable, so you can charge with like any USB portable charging device or in your car, on your computer, whatever it might be. There are ways to extend the battery life. So let's say you're going on a 3 or 4 day backpacking trip. There's things you can do like turn on ultra track and different sort of tweaks that you can do to the watch to get more juice out of it. And if you go to HikingGuy.com, I list all of those things out, and it's pretty straightforward in terms of getting a little more life out of your watch. I want to address GPS accuracy here. I'm not like a hardcore tech tester. I've been using this thing on the trails and sort of more of a practical lab as opposed to a, you know, side-by-side comparison. How does this stack up versus the Sun2 or the whatever it might be? For me, the GPS has been great. I've did a comparison with my iPhone GPS a few times, and generally it's pretty much the same. There's a couple options. You can turn on GPS and GLONASS, which is the Russian GPS. You know, and I researched this. I couldn't see any difference when I had them both on, and I looked online, dug through the forums, and some people swear by it, some people don't swear by it. I usually just leave it off because it saves a little bit of battery, and I don't really see any kind of difference. But in general, when I do a hike with the Fenix and I bring it home, and I review it and I can see my path on top of like the OpenStreetMap and trail, I'm generally always on it. I never have a problem, and I never really had problems with my distance being off. And you'll see that if you do your research on the forums. You'll see some people say their distance is off by miles. I would just say update your firmware, and that will probably solve 99% of the problems. It's hard to tell what happens. Now, for GPS, you know, it could be the device, and it could also be a lot of other things. If you're in an area with buildings, if there's atmospheric disturbances, if you don't have a good satellite fix, if only a few satellites are reachable, your GPS accuracy will be affected. So there's so many variables there. In general, it's worked for me. I haven't had a problem. It's never made me walk off a cliff or anything kooky like that. So that's my take on GPS. If you go to websites like DC Rainmaker, and there's another one that I forget the name of, they have more in-depth tests where they overlay the tracks. It's a bit overkill. Just know from my standpoint from hiking, update the firmware. The GPS works great. You don't need GLONASS unless you have a strong reason to use it. So now earlier I had showed you all the different apps that you can get for this watch. It's not just a hiking watch. If you just want something for hiking, you know, this is cool because it has maps, and there's not other options out there. It's not like a wristwatch that has a ton of maps on it and does all these things. So in that respect, it's a great watch. But if you do other sports and you're into tracking your fitness, tracking your sleep, your steps, your stairs, calories, any of that kind of stuff, this is a massive tool to have. It tracks basically runs or any other sport like it would a hike. So you get your distance, your heart rate, all that fun stuff. It also works with external sensors, right? So I can hook this up to a chest strap, and on the chest strap, I get running dynamics, which is like my stride length, my vertical oscillation, all kinds of crazy stuff like that. I can hook it up to bike sensors, so cadence, speed, power meters, really anything that's ANT Plus or Bluetooth Smart. this will sync up with, which is pretty powerful. I use it on my day-to-day, so I use this as my sleep tracker, and just to get a general level of my fitness. Now, when I'm out on the trail, I have my heart rate as one of the data fields, and I look at different things. I look at like where I am on the map, I look at how far I've gone, but I also look at my heart rate to see, am I struggling? Am I performing the way I feel like I should be performing for this hike? And sometimes I go out and my heart rate might be up, or I might have a higher resting heart rate in the morning, and I'm starting to get sick, and maybe it's not a good idea to do that overnight camping trip. So having that type of information is very helpful. And I also use it in my day-to-day training. So if I want to work on my stride length, I can make sure that I'm doing that and see real empirical results as I go. Now, there's a couple of other functions on here that are really helpful. You can get your lactate threshold, so it'll have a test on here to tell you if you use your lactate threshold for your heart rate zone. And that's like a little bit outside of the realm of hiking, but it is good to know if you're into fitness. It does your resting heart rate, it does your sleep, it does your calories. If you're on a bike, it can calculate your FTP, your functional threshold power for you. And it also has this training and stress load predictor, which I'll show you right now, which is very, very helpful. It's something that pro athletes use, and Garmin has licensed it for the watch. And essentially what it does is it takes all of the different information that you have from your training, from your sleep, from your diet, puts it together to essentially analyze your training and say, hey, is your training productive right now? Is it not productive? Are you peaking? Are you doing too much, too little? And you can use that as a feedback tool to adjust as necessary. So very, very. Now, when you first get your Garmin 5X, I recommend doing a couple things right off the bat. First, get a Garmin Connect user ID and account. That will let you sync your watch online and sync it with your phone and review your hikes afterwards, do all kinds of different community activities, a ton of things. Highly recommend it. If you don't do that, you're only really utilizing a portion of the power of this watch. The next thing I would do is sync your watch, so you can sync it with your smartphone or with your computer, both free software to do that. And what that'll do is it'll update the firmware on your watch. Now, that's really important because when this first comes out, there's obviously a ton of things going on in this Fenix 5X, and there's going to be bugs. And when the watch did first come out, I was actively monitoring all the forums and blogs, and there were problems, right? GPS dropouts, battery, different types of things. And Garmin is really good at addressing those and issuing new firmware often. And it's made me a Garmin fan because not only do they address bugs, but they also add more functionality to the watch as time goes on, which is very, very cool. So update the firmware and also get a Garmin Connect account. And I'll show you how to do that on the website. So if you just go to HikingGuy.com, I have the links for all of these websites and software and all that fun stuff. So should you get this watch? Does it make sense to spend hundreds of dollars on this watch? Because it is expensive. It's definitely not one of the more economical pieces of gear you can get. Here's what I would say. If you can afford it, if money is not a huge deal to you in terms of the price of this, get it. Just having maps on your wrist is a huge resource. So when I use this, my common use case scenario is not necessarily making courses and using it to route me. Beforehand, I've planned my hike. I've put the GPX into my watch. I've sent it to my watch, and I'm hiking, right? And maybe I come to a trail junction. I just want to confirm that I need to go a certain way. This watch, I can pull it up. Not only can I see which way the path is, but I can see geographical features around me to confirm, like, okay, this is the way I'm going, and here's the other trail that I'm not going down, because I can see that all on my watch. So in that sense, it's very powerful and it's very cool to have. Another use case scenario where I love it is if I hike at night and it's hard to follow the trail. And Cactus to Clouds is a great one for this. The Skyline Trail, if you're not familiar with it, a lot of times you have to do it at night in order to beat the heat. It's marked with little white dots, and it's easy to not see that if you're hiking at night with your headlamp. So all I do is I look down on my Fenix 5X and say, am I still on the trail? So in that sense, it's very useful. So if you can afford it and you need that kind of tool to sort of cross-check where you are, get it. If you are training or doing other like running and biking and you want to get some insight into your body and your training, and you hike, definitely get it. It's worth it. If you have a Fenix 3 or 3 HR and you're okay with like following the track and you don't necessarily need the maps, I wouldn't spend the money for it. I probably just would stick with the Fenix 3 and use, a couple different handheld options for my maps, an iPhone and maybe an eTrex. If you don't have the money for it, if it's out of your price range, I would probably just get like a couple handheld options as well. So I'd get, maybe an eTrex, have something on your smartphone, have paper as always, and you'll be fine. It's really convenience to be able to look at your wrist and see the map, but it's not vital to the experience of hiking. It's not vital to your survival if you have those other options. But again, if you do training and you want to make an investment in something that's powerful on your wrist, if you do, say, lose battery in your eTrex or your smartphone and you need to get back, you have, a full set of topo maps on your wrist, which is pretty awesome.